I want to break it down to y'all from a biochemist perspective. You have all these different acids that the body does not need, and therefore, since the body don't need it, the body cannot utilize it. So the animals eat the actual amino acids, not protein, but the animals eat the simple amino acids from their plants, and then they utilize it and they metabolize those amino acids.
We are now transmitting into the 5D frequency, and we are here in Miami, Florida.
Yeah.
And I would like to welcome you, Yahki Awakens, with pleasure. And what do you have to say right now in this present moment?
Man, on some real, first off, Baruch Hashem Yahweh, I give all praises to the Most High. I also give all praises to the ancestors that, created the journey and the path for us to walk on. So I'd like to give a moment of silence for ancestors like Dr. John Henry Clark.
So your worst traits were picked up from your oppressor.
Ancestors like the Honorable Messiah Marcus Garvey.
Reach up, black men and women, and put all nature's knowledge to you.
Ancestors like Malcolm X.
Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet?
Khalid Muhammad.
Once you have gone to the bottomless pit of hell, then you can greater appreciate the higher heights of heaven.
And all the ancestors, Shaka Zulu, all the ones who have came before us and paved the way. Dr. Layla Africa.
Holistic self-diagnosis. It teaches you how to diagnose yourself using ancient systems.
And of course, Dr. Sabi.
Whenever you make a statement that goes against the grain, you better be prepared.
So peace, love, light, healing. And there's divine alignment and divine blessings, man.
Much gratitude for having you on here, because right now you're one of the most hottest herbalists and healers right now trending in the community, and you're coming up on a very, very mass level. So you're very much appreciated, and much gratitude for you.
Praise, I appreciate you.
Yes.
Appreciate you for having me on the channel, man, for real.
Yes. And we transmitted on a 5D frequency right now, and 5D energy only right here. So I'm gonna start off with the first question. So personally, Yahki, what's inspired you to transform your diet?
Okay, so the first thing is, which I spoke about in many other interviews, I was sick and I had ailments myself. So basically I ended up having a slight heart attack. I ended up going to the hospital, and I had a scare at the hospital, and the doctors at the hospital literally scared me straight. From then I went home. I sat down on my couch. I turned on YouTube to look for some natural ways of healing, because the medicine that I had been taking before, I was having all types of physical malfunctionings from them. So, a white man popped up. I wasn't really vibing with his spirit and energy, and I ended up the suggestion came on, and Dr. Sabi came on right after that. And man, I tapped into Dr. Sabi, and he drew on my heart space, man. He really opened up my heart chakra. I fell in love with his message, fell in love with his image, and just him being a black man and teaching love, light, and healing and unifying the people, man. It really did something to me. So that inspired me, I was in spirit moving to get into like herbology. So I started herbology courses, got so many certifications in that. And then I ended up buying my own herbs, mixing up my own, formulas, and I healed myself of everything that I was going through, which was diabetes. I had diabetes 1 and 2. I also had messed up kidneys. My liver was fatty. I used to drink a lot. I smoked a lot. I snorted cocaine, and I healed the scar tissue on my heart. So.
And I can just imagine how much that affects your mental health too.
Oh man, I was messed up, man, mentally. And then you got to remember, I was gangbanging. I was in the streets. I was in a gang called the Black Mount Street Gang. Anybody from St. Louis know all about that. And then before then, I'm originally born in Illinois. So I grew up around a whole lot of GDs and BDs. So I was introduced to the gang culture very, very early in my life. I remember people, dying in my alley. I used to look out my grandma's window and see horrific type of violence and events that happen in my communities. That really molded and shaped me a lot to do a lot of the, things that I was doing in the streets, which was drinking, smoking, toting around guns, gang banging.
I can imagine, did that ever traumatize you? I can imagine this traumatizing you.
Well, as I look back on it now, I look at it as a traumatizing effect. But back then, it was just part of everyday life. I thought it was part of my culture. But now that I'm understanding what culture really means, which is, it comes from the word cultivation, and cultivation means to grow. That actually was against my culture. That was anti-culture, the community and the environment that I was growing up in.
We talk about the term health is wealth, which is a very, very controversial term, right? But it's also very truthful. Break down to us on how feeling healthy has anything to do with feeling wealthy from the experience that you have from being a vegan for 14 years?
I mean, so if you really just like look back on etymology and you start looking up the definitions of words, if you look up the definition of actual wealth, it's going to bring you back to the definition of health, because in order to be truly wealthy, you have to have health first. And that's what the black community is lacking, especially when you're talking about the rappers. They're making all of this money, but their diets are poor. They're not on lipids, they're on diets.
Introduce to us a great way on how to meditate for someone who has like never meditated before. How will someone just get into meditation who has never meditated?
You have many different ways of meditation. I would say the easiest way of meditation, because a lot of people say I couldn't clear the chatter. So the whole thing is, don't worry about clearing the chatter. Sit down, align your spinal cord, and focus on your breath. So you sit up upright and you would do diaphragmatic breathings. As I was talking about before, the lungs act as the wings, but the wings are pushed out due to your diaphragmatic muscles. So you breathe in. When you breathe in through the nasal passage, your stomach's supposed to expand. So you hold it for 3 seconds, then you're going to release. When you release, you're going to release for 9 seconds. And when you're releasing, your stomach, your belly button damn near supposed to be touching your spinal cord. So when you're doing that, you're going to do it in a rhythmatic frequency, but you're going to focus on the breath. When you start focusing on the breath, if you do it long enough, you'll start to hear your heartbeat. You'll be able to hear it. And then that's what you're keying in on. So true meditation is just becoming in the present now, because when you draw your consciousness into the present now, this is where magical things happen in that, because now you're not stuck worrying about the past, nor you're not planning or preparing for the future. You're stuck in the moments, and those moments are eternity. Right. And the only way you can tap into that eternity is by focusing on something. So don't worry about the chatter, just focus on your breath. Diaphragmatic breathing is one of the greatest forms of meditation. Another one is vocalism meditation, when you're using your verbiage and you opening up your throat chakra, and you can hum, or hey, sheen, sham.
We were just talking about earlier about that book. There's a book called Breath, and how the power, even the power now. That book is a beautiful book. I recommend everyone to get that book. But just the power of being in the now, and all problems and all anxiety just comes from not being in the present moment.
Facts.
And that shows by mindfulness, mindful breathing, and you're a big person individual and a healer who pushes mindful breathing, and much gratitude for that, because that's what a lot of the community needs is mindful breathing. Yeah. And that would just center them in the present moment and shut down all anxiety. And then the health from it, it's just so beneficial health wise. Like, having conscious breathing, or what you would call mindful breathing, you're slowing down your heart rate. Not only is you slowing down your heart rate and calming your heart rate, but you're inciting the autonomic nervous system. Not only that, you're getting more carbon dioxide inside the body to convert over into sugar, which this sugar will then turn into water and give you ATP, which stands for adenosine triphosphate. And that's how you yield energy and vitality. So, just by slowing down your breaths and holding on to that breath, you live longer. Another thing, it regulates your blood. It brings the circulatory system up. It unclogs arteries. I mean, it do so many amazing things. So, technically, like if you look at your average person, they don't even know how to breathe. People saying they know it's people out here don't even know how to breathe. They nasal breathing, mouth breathing together. Like a lot of people got bad breath because they mouth breathe when they sleep. A lot of people teeth are messed up because they mouth breathe when they sleep. So, if you start going to sleep and you really start nasal breathing, and you see how the air draws into the nasal passage, it goes through filtering processes before it goes through the brain and out of the body. People that mouth breathe, the air goes straight down the esophagus, and you get bad gas, you get methane problems for it. If you're interested in any of my healing modalities and you need botanicals and healing herbs, alkaline and healing herbs, actually wildcrafted from the land of their origin, make sure you visit my website at www.yahkiawakened.com, www.yahkiawakened. What about the people who have like sinus issues where one nose is blocked or they can't breathe through their nose? What do you suggest they do? You do fire breaths through the nose. You do 9 that way, do the same in this, in and out the nose, in and out the mouth. How effective is this?
Give it 3 minutes and you will unblock the nasal passage, because People don't know how to breathe. People are mouth breathers because we have been taught to be greedy and to eat. And we constantly putting things in our mouth. We are very, if you notice the so-called black community, we are very infatuated with our mouths. We either talking too much with our mouths, don't know how to be still, don't know how to be silent. We either drinking too much with our mouths to quench thirst or to quench the dehydration that we're going through because we eating the wrong things, or we being dried out by all the artificial lights or electronics. And then last but not least, we always putting things in our mouths to eat because we're addicted to sugar, that came to fulfill that missing love within us. And that's the reason why we are associating sugar with love. So we constantly putting things in our mouth. If we're not chewing on candy, we chewing on bubble gum. If we're not chewing on bubble gum, we sucking on peppermints or lollipops. If we're not doing that, we eating foods. We even eating 3 to 5 meals a day when you're only really supposed to be eating 1 meal a day at a specific time. So we are so infatuated with our mouths that we even start to breathe through our mouths, we miss the nose, which is where the true breath's supposed to be drawn in from. If you actually read the book of Genesis chapter 2 verse 7, it was talking about how Yahweh came down and breathed into the nostrils of Adam the breath of life, and then Adam became a living soul. So we even look at ancient relics and ancient scriptures that we're supposed to be nasal breathing to get that oxygen molecule and that iron phosphate to the brain, for our brain can have them neural maps and that intelligence, for we can be able to convey melanin neurotransmitters throughout our whole entire body.
And I know a lot of Americans, they have a huge problem with stress eating. A lot of people, as soon as they get stressed out, that's either from coming home from work, they stress eat, they go home and eat a huge meal, they bloat their stomachs, and they just feel like crap after.
Facts.
How does someone deal with stress eating? A lot of people stress eat. How do you deal with that? How do you beat that?
So, this is what I think about stress. Our people are very addictive people. We have a very addictive personality because the polymer melanin that we made up with is an absorption molecule. So, and it's a nurturing molecule. So we tend to always have to compensate something for another. So if you're going to take food away from them, you have to give them another activity for they can keep their focus on. So, I think if you're eating so much, you have to stop eating, but find something to replace the eating with. Create workout regimens. Not only that, create walking regimens, create bath rituals, create, downtime where you're reading a book. Whenever you feel like you need to eat something, fill your belly up with the H3O2 liquids, which is that jelly structured water, the hexogenic water that's going to actually fill you up and give you all the phytonutrients that you need. And it's not going to bloat you, and it ain't going to take that long to actually digest inside the system. So I think there's many things that we can do to compensate from that. It's just people don't be thinking outside the box, and they think that if they're not eating, they going to die. People literally think that if they fast for too long, they're going to die. And they don't research and see that it's people that fasted 90 days on just water. It's people that fasted 90 days on just juices. It's people that went a whole year on just fruits alone. So there's many different stages and levels to the eating kingdom. Breatharianism is the top form of eating, because you breathing in all this nitrogen, you breathing in atoms, amino acids, and molecules just on drawing on the true breath. So I'm gonna take it back to the breath for real. I think that if we consciously breathe more, you will be fuller because you're breathing in everything that you need from the air. And we need to understand that there's many different levels and energies when it comes to food.
That's beautiful. So, Yahki, as you are arguably one of the most hottest herbalists and growing healers right now in the healing community, what are the best foods to clear your pineal gland, which is very important right now for the conscious community?
So the first thing is we have to decalcify the pineal gland, and we got to think about what's calcifying it. The things that calcify the pineal gland is fluoride. It's also chlorine bleach that you get from jumping into pools, which the so-called Negro love to swim in his chlorine bleach pools. So we got to get out of the pools. We got to get away from the deodorant that got the fluoride in it. We got to stop, using the toothpaste with the fluoride in it. And then another thing is the meats, cooking the meats, the calcification and the lipids actually mix with calcium on these two, the pituitary gland and the pineal gland, and it calcifies. So things that decalcify the pineal gland, which it would be herbs that decalcify anything like stones, calcification, crystallization, hydrangea root tea, mixed with stingy nettle root is things that can help detoxify the pineal gland.
Just like sun gazing as well, I heard.
Yeah, sun gazing is a very good one, but you got to teach people how to sun gaze, properly, because it can really damage your eyes if you go out there at the wrong time of day and sun gaze. Like, for instance, don't go out at noon when the sun is the highest in the sky to sun gaze. The best time to sun gaze is when the sun is actually leaving and going down, or when it's first coming up, when it's rising. Them the best time to really sun gaze, to stimulate the pineal gland, to get that reflective ultraviolet light to open up that pineal gland. Another thing is, I promote mushrooms. Mushrooms will literally blow that pineal gland open. Just make sure it's ceremonial. Make sure that you're in the right space and have the right mindset. And I suggest that you fasting before doing it. But things like that help with the pineal gland as well. Another one is marijuana tea. You get you some good indica or sativa, 9 hybrid with the seed, some good homegrown ones, should we say, and drink you some good marijuana tea. Yeah. All of these different psychedelics will help you actually open up the pineal gland as well. And
like ganja, man. Like ganja don't
yes,
burn it up.
yes. And then we're talking about the endocrine system. Yeah. We know that the pineal gland is the governing, gland of the body. It actually governs the glandular highway. And the main foods that's good for the brain is your berries. Your acai berries, your blackberries, your blueberries, and these things are antioxidants, so meaning it's anti-oxidative stress. These things actually keep your cells from rusting inside of your body. So, if you really want to open the pineal gland and bring a lot of oxygen to the actual brain, I suggest that you eat a lot of berries and melons as well.
Wait, I heard about Herataki. You were talking about that as well.
Yes,
like
very good.
Power Herataki.
The Herataki is very good, yeah.
Yes. So we were talking about this earlier, and we were talking about how herbalism is a joke.
Yeah, straight joke, man. So I don't really believe in herbalism, because if you're going to be a true herbalist, you have to be an all-around healer. And that's what I really believe. So I don't even like being called a master herbalist, even though I got a master herbalist, all these certifications, been doing this for so long, thousands of healing testimonies of all these so-called incurable diseases. And y'all can check this out and look this up if y'all don't believe me. But I noticed that, you cleanse, you tend to take people from their environment, you give them the herbs, you heal them of all their diseases, but then they end up getting a disease again because you never took them from the environment and kept them away from the environment. So a true healer would never grab somebody from an environment, heal them, then put them back in the very environment that got them sick in the first place. So for me, my understanding, to be a true herbalist or a true healer, you have to heal on all aspects. Not only do we have to heal physically, but we have to heal them spiritually, mentally, emotionally, economically, and educational wise. So that's a true healer. So a true healer have much work to do and much studying to do, much activism to do. They have to be door to door in the community, and they have to be changing the infrastructure of the community to be called a healer. You just going to get some herbs and you going to a few classes and you mixing up some herbs. What is that going to do for me other than just flushing my body out? But then I'm going to go back to putting the same things in my body that had me coagulated, agglomerated, and sick in the first place. So a true healer heals on many different levels. We have to go after the consciousness and the mind of our people by changing our environment. That's a true healer. And to me, that is a true herbalist.
Okay. How powerful is going to the beach and putting your feet in the sand and just hearing the water, hearing the ocean? Because I know you like to go to the beach, that Miami beach, you living that Miami beach life, that good life, living your best life,
Yeah.
So how powerful is going to the beach and receiving that sun, being near the water element? As we know, water has intelligence. Yes. It's
alive.
Energy.
It's living.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
How powerful is it?
Yi Maya, or we want to call Oshun or the ocean, very, very powerful. For one, it's living. For two, you have salt in that water. We know that the pancreas produces the same salt that's in the water, that same sea salt. We have something called sodium bicarbonate that's actually produced inside of our pancreas, that's released to alkaline our foods, because our food had just, went through this very hard, assiduous, hot breakdown due to the hydrochloric acid in our stomach. So we see that salt is an alkalining property, and we see that salt is actually minerals converted. So when you're going into the sea, you literally taking a mineral bath. And then we got to look at ritual. We got to look at, purification. And then you putting your feet into the sand, which you're grounding out. So you're connecting to Earth electrical magnetic field, or what we call the magnetic grid. So not only is you grounding and you getting all of them negative charges out of your body, or what I say positive charges out of your body, because the positive charges are the protons and the negative charges are truly the electrons, which is the alkaline entities that you need in your body. That's one thing we do have to clear up. When you get into biochemistry, biochemistry, negative is good because it's alkaline, it's female, it's that feminine principle. The positive is actually the negative, it's bad because it acts as a free radical. It's always trying to borrow a charge and rob alkaline from for its electrons. So, you know, it really gives you that good negative energy that you need because you're grounding out and you're getting rid of all the positive, which is negative entities in the body. Not only that, it's a water ritualistic practice. You're going in there and you're connecting with the earth. Because when you in that sea, you still got your feet on the ground. Now you're moving in the water element. Now you got the sun beaming down. So, you know, if you really, really want to get into all the elements, especially like elemental magic and all the stuff that they're talking about, which is being a true alchemist, the best place to be at is in the sea because you're going to get the moon, you're going to get the sun, you're going to get the wind, you're going to get the water, and you're going to get the earth all in one setting.
Wow, y'all alchemists, y'all hearing this? All y'all alchemists, this is a very important lesson for y'all. It's a very important lesson.
And salt, and we got to remember salt pools. It's astringent, and we dealing with sea salt. So when you in that salt, notice like people that got thinning hair. If you tell them to go into the sea and wash their head in that salt sea, they have mucus drawing from the top of their head because that salt literally dissolve and pulls. That's an astringent property, and it's electrical, so it pulls the minerals, and it's magnetic, so it pulls the minerals. And we have to remember that when you eat a apple, or when you eat an orange, or you eat greens, and you're breaking this stuff down, what's going to happen once you break it down to its phytonutrients or the biochemistry, what they call the biophotons and bioflavonoids, these minerals, or what you call vital minerals, they stick themselves together and get converted. That conversion is what you call salt. So salt is nothing but converted, compounded minerals stuck together. So if you want a mineral bath, go to the sea.
Mm-hmm. So since we on the topic of the beach and the water, there's been a lot of leaked videos of mermaids, you know, talking about Atlantis and stories of, you know, the mermaids in Atlantis being real. And we do truly feel like it's real. So what knowledge, what's your universal take on this?
I think the sea is alive. We got many biblical and Hebraic or even Sumerian, when you get into the Sumerian tablets, examples of what you would call mermaids. Some people call them sirens, and some people call them human fish. We have to realize that we all started off aquatic anyway, in all realms. Everything came from the sea. Even when you go back and you reach back into your ancient history, it says that we come from the sea. We have to understand that outer space is a big sea anyway. And when you get to the Bible, talk about how he separated the waters from the waters, and he called the waters above the heavens, or the Hashemayim, and then he called the waters below the seas. So we have to understand that in order to even get outer space, you got to go inner space, which is going into the sea. We're talking about thousands and thousands and thousands of creatures and species that we have never came into contact with.
Wow.
Thousands, you know, and then, you know, they haven't even been to the bottom of the ocean.
How deep do you feel like the bottom of the ocean is?
Man, miles and hundreds of miles, man. They be lying. Hundreds of miles. So for instance, it was a scientist that got killed. He got killed. Look this up. He went to the bottom of the ocean, and he went so far that he hit a part. He went in the ocean and found a lake in the ocean, a lake.
One of the most amazing things that I had ever seen in the bottom of the ocean, it was while filming for Blue Planet. It was in the Gulf of Mexico. And inside the ring of mussels was a lake. And it's like, wait a minute, I'm already underwater. And we went out over the water in this lake and tried to descend in it and bounced off. It was so super saline and dense that the submarine couldn't go down in it. We literally bounced off, and as we bounced off, we sent ripples heading back to the shoreline. It was insane. I've never seen anything like it.
Coincidentally, a few days after this aired on the television that he had made this discovery, when him and his friend were flying the helicopter, it exploded, and he died.
And he couldn't even penetrate the lake. He took pictures of it and stuff, how he couldn't penetrate this lake, but he seen octopus and all type of things swimming in his lake. And he reported it to Congress, and he told the people about it. They ended up killing him. They've been at war with the seas for ages, y'all. They're not only at war with the heavens, because the heavens is the sea. Hashemayim, when you separate the waters from the water. So we have to understand that this whole concept of us going out of space and all of that is a big NASA lie. You know what I'm saying? If they're going, they're making intergalactic weapons. Now remember, it's water up there. It's a sea up there. So if potentially they're going at war with the sea, y'all should watch a movie called Aquaman. How the man on the land was going to war with the man of the ocean, or Oshun, or Yemaya. Look, this stuff is real, man.
Yeah, and Isis Wisdom, you know, she saw another big preacher in the intellect, and she was talking about how, you know, even Aquaman is one of the most powerful movies to understand how Atlantis is. That's how.
And Atlantis is real.
Yes,
but the only thing that only thing that they got misconstrued is it wasn't a bunch of Caucasian men. These are black humanoid beings down there, you know. But they're aquatic. But like I was talking about, if you look at the evolutionary biological history and process of the black woman's womb, we are aquatic. You know, we start off, we have tails, we have gills, the gills turn into lungs, our tails ended up getting shortened, you know what I'm saying? And then we have the primitive gut tube. We start off looking like a seahorse. From the seahorse, we start looking like an alien. From the alien, we start getting these humanoid features. And then after that, you get you actually get the fetus, and then the fetus become the infant become the baby, toddler, then we look like this. But if you look at us when we're actually in that aquatic stage in the womb, we look just like a tadpole. We look just like a seahorse. And mind you, we are literally inside of water in darkness, you know, welling in the primordial waters of the woman's womb for 9 months. Then the water breaks and then we birth and go forth. So even if you look at us and how we come into existence, we start off aquatic in water. We all got to go back to Maya. We all come from that, and we all go back there. You see what I'm saying?
Wow, man! Shout out to the water signs. I know you're a Cancer yourself.
Yes.
Shout out to the Cancers. And how powerful is it for water signs to go to the beach? Because we know they are a water sign, so they're connected to the water element. So they truly do need that water. That's either from, you know, going to the beach, feeling that water element, taking more showers, going with the flow. How powerful is it?
I mean, for one, when you get into Zodiac, or what they call Zadok, or Zukenu, or the Zedekiah, all of this talking about, you can find the Zodiac in every ancient religion. That's how powerful it is. And when you look at the word magi from a biblical sense, it said astrologer. So we know that astrology is very, very, very important, especially when it comes to seasons and times and just, you know, predicting the future and stuff like that.
Yes.
I'm a water sign. So, you know, since I came through that chart, that natal chart, and I'm connected to the water like that, the water literally be calling me. Literally, this is no bull. I start getting I can eat all fruit, drink all fruit juice. I literally feel dehydrated until I go to the ocean. The ocean be calling me. You know, we have to start listening to these signs, but it's hard to listen to your element call you from the element that you truly arrive from if you're blocking, you know, yourself from being on that fifth dimensional place. You know, just channel is 5D, beyond the 5D. You know, so it's hard to be beyond 5D and hear your element call, which you come from, if you blocking it and you shutting down your melanin neurotransmitters because you eating the wrong things and you drinking the wrong things and you putting the wrong substances in your body. But it's very important to work with your element that's a part of your natal chart, and you getting into your inner child and you start playing with these things, you will notice that that's where your magic really lies. You'll start seeing miracles and everything happen. You'll be able to think clearer.
Aligning with your higher self. Yeah. Going to the earth signs, like earth signs, them going to nature, going to the park and just putting their feet inside the ground. That's going to ground them.
Yes.
To reality, you got the fire signs, just playing with candles.
Yes.
Playing with their flames, candle gazing, even sun gazing.
Yeah.
The fire signs going to activate that inner chi, activate your fire.
Yeah.
It's going to just fulfill your destiny.
That's how you truly raise the Kundalini energy. But you have to tap into your element though. And I just think, you know, if you really want to draw from your creative space, if you really want to create and walk in your purpose, the best thing you can truly do is to work with your element every single day. And you will start noticing things about you and who you truly are that you never noticed before, because you are being your true self. And your true self is in your natal chart. Your true self is in the actual, what we call celestial pathway that you took to even be inside of your mother's womb, coming from your father's scrotum sac. We know we come from the heavens. We come from the primordial waters. And that's the reason why where there's every birth, a star dies. Like we looking at them shooting stars and we looking at all of these different things, and we never took time to sit back and be like, whoa, these are submarines up there. These are light vehicles, or what they call the Merkaba, you know, flying around up in there. Or we don't get the concept of an actual airplane. An airplane is damn near like a submarine, because when you look at air and what really air is nothing but less dense water. It's all air. It's less dense water.
So how do
real quick, check this out. Less dense water. I used to work in basements, right? And I used to get mold out of basements and stuff. And it can be a completely beautiful house, no water at all in the area, but mold used to build up on the walls, and the walls used to sweat. And we used to wonder where the water was coming from the walls. And then I started getting into certain biochemistry classes, and what was happening was the air was getting too humid. And from this humid air, it produced water, and this water then created the fungus and the mold. Where did the water come from? It literally came from the air. So guess what we had to go? We had to go to Home Depot and get something called a dehumidifier. And what the dehumidifier did was dried out the water molecules in the air, showing you that air is nothing but less dense water. We are living in a damn fishbowl, man. This is a fish tank.
Wow. How do you recommend air signs to tap into their element, which is more common? It's a little more harder because, ocean, you got the fire, but how do air signs tap into their elements?
Air signs, you tap into your elements by using the breath. Because air, it represents thinking. It's a thinking faculty. Right. Water represents emotion, energy in motion. Desire represents fire. You see that? That's your creativity. Grounding out represents earthing. So you have many different things. It's called elemental magic or elemental alchemy. Alchemy and magic is the same thing.
We all have our gifts. Every sign has their gift.
Yes.
Every element, all
Facts.
the water signs, the earth signs, the fire signs.
Facts.
Isn't that divine? Isn't that beautiful?
That's very beautiful. If you look at people that's a part of the air, they're very great thinkers. You look at people that's a part of the water, they're very emotional. They use their energy and motion. The whole thing is to set your intentions and use it in a ma'at or a balanced way, because a lot of people use their element unawarely bad because they haven't been taught these things in school, because in school we are learning lies and learning how to serve the 1%ers and learning how to become consumers and work in cubicles and being away from the sun. So when you go to school, they take true education from you and give you and feed you a false reality, so you can't tap into the things that's naturally already endowed in you. Imagine our children going to the school and learning about elemental alchemy, or learning about their natal charts, learning about astrology, learning about financial literacy. Imagine that, man. We'd be totally different, man.
Very powerful. So right now, we hear this notorious term in the spiritual community, and that's like grow your own food. Now, there's a lot of controversy about this and how even the seeds, even the oil isn't natural. What's your universal take on this, Mr. Yahki?
The oil is not natural right now. The oil is very, very mineral deficient right now, but you can do things to make that oil, like raised beds. It's very good. You also can cleanse and burn your land and then put your own minerals in the land. That's a good way to do it. For instance, me and Mama Makeda out in San Diego, California at the World's Cultural Beat Center, we just gave away 1,000 seeds. I have my own seed program, my own heirloom seeds, not touched by the government. We give away thousands of seeds monthly. So, it's ways to get these things done. But I think that we need to go back to our ancient ways. We need to acquire land. We need to clean up that land. We need to burn that land down. We need to let it rest, and then we need to plant our own heirloom seeds and grow our own food. And this stuff is easy to do, but again, the education part is missing on how to do these things.
And
so
that goes down even coming about unity. A lot of us, we're starting to find more about soul tribe, find more people who are like-minded, people around the area, and how important right now is unity.
Tribe is everything. I call it tribe. Tribe is everything. You have the conscious self, you have the ego self, then you have the tribal self. A lot of people are now tapping into the conscious self. A lot of people been in the ego self, but a lot of people are not identifying with the tribal self because of religion. Religion have did a great job of mind fucking us and just really, looking at, we think that we're individuals when we not. There's no such thing as individualism. We are all connected. It's called the Christ conscious. And once we realize that as a people, we can come together and unify. We look at each other like we are each other enemies, but the real enemy is the energy that's what's inside of us, because we don't know how to truly work with that energy.
And that even goes into shadow work. A lot of us, we think that someone else is the enemy, but your biggest enemy is actually yourself sometimes. And it's doing shadow work. It's the demon that we all have lying inside of us. We have the higher self, and then we have the ego. It's about finding balance. And that even goes into the question, what is the importance of balancing, because people think that you just have to be on the light side. What's the importance of using the dark side and balancing the dark side and the light side?
It's just the simplest way to say this. It's all about taking a bad situation and making it good. People do it all the time, you know. Transmutation, or what we call being an alchemist, you know, transferring or transmutating the energy, drawing from your dark side and making a good situation out of it. You know, the light came from the dark. In the beginning, God said, let there be what? Light. So what was there before there was light? There was darkness. So we have to understand that all life come from this darkness or this primordial, you know, light absent water. So the best way to truly, you know, convert this energy to be good is doing shadow work. You know, going back, but some people got to go back, because a lot of people don't even know that they need shadow work. And a lot of people got blockages in their ancestral line. It could be a past life that you was out here messing up in, and you don't realize that it have been pulled over into your reincarnated life. You know, all reincarnated means is to recycle, car, or what you call the avatar, or vehicle, which is our bodies, and nation, which was the birth of a human being. So reincarnation literally means that I get a new avatar, but I'm living in this vehicle again. But we don't understand that a lot of past things that we did in our past lives, we're bringing all that baggage and all that junk over into our new lives. And that's the reason why our life is not working out, you know, how we expected or wanted to. So the best thing to do is start tapping in. You have things where you can do certain types of prayers and meditations, and you can even do certain type of yogas, like stretching the body to unlock memories. But you can go back to them old lives, and you can fix that karmatic expression or that print that you left there to start changing your life here and now, in the present now. So, you know, breathing is a very good thing. Eating healthy will help you remember past lives, will help you unlock memories. Again, stretching, not being all tight and tense, locking memory into the cells, because you literally have something called cellular memory. Also, you have something called transgenerational epigenetic inheritance, where you're literally inheriting things that your ancestors did, and they passing down these genes. And that's why the ancestors are so important. You know, we have been made. It's been made to us to demonize the ancestors, like we're doing some type of dark magic and stuff like that. But if you really look at the human anatomy and look at your body come from your ancestors. They even have something called genetic immunity. Even though I don't believe in an immunological system, I do believe in a lymphatic defense system where your body can fight off certain diseases because your ancestors 100 years ago already fought off them diseases. And by them literally giving birth to offsprings and generations, these different cells are now part of your body. So when your body recognize that specific, you know, foreign invader, it will automatically heal itself and block it, and the phagocyte will eat it because your ancestors gave it to you. So even our ancestors right now are healing our bodies and protecting our bodies while they're not here. It's another one called transgenerational epigenetics, where certain characteristics and talents get passed down and gifts get passed down. Boy, you sing just like your daddy. My mama was a singer. My grandpa was a singer. You see what I'm saying?
That's why, like, you know, you see the basketball players jumping super high. The
yeah,
boxers,
where did they get
Tyson,
that from?
The genetics, yeah, like.
Where did they get that from? They got it from the ancestors. And the same thing that I was talking about yesterday. You know, everybody do ancestral work but us. And we're under this big ancestral spell. When you look at a dollar bill, what do you have on a dollar bill? You have a white ancestor, you know? And not only do you have this white ancestor who they call a president, and they do ritual ceremonial practices called what? President's Day. Do they call off? They even call off work for President's Day like it's a Shabbat. You don't do no work. You don't do nothing. You just celebrate for you can be in that ritualistic ceremony. So you got President's Day, and you worshiping a dollar bill with a white man, a dead slave master president on it. Then you turn it around. You got a pyramid, which you have a monument. You have a geographical location on this dollar bill, because in magic or in rituals, you actually need a monument as well. Then you start looking, you have something called seals. Well, in magic, or when you get into Gamori work, these things are called seagulls. And seagulls is literally a seal that you put your impression or your manifestations on, and it comes to pass. So we got seals or seagulls on the dollar bill. We got a dead white ancestor on the dollar bill, and we have a geographical location on the dollar bill, and we have mathematics and numbers on the dollar bill. If you put all these things together, and then what do they call it? They call it currency. Currency is in a river, or they call it, and you put your money in a river bank. All these things is talking about the flow and the moving of energy in motion. If you look at a dollar bill and the way we exchange it with each other, how we kill each other for it, how we use it to get vagina, how we use it to degrade each other, how we use it to build up our social status, like we really owe somebody, how we use it for power, we are truly under what? We are under a spell. They cast a spell on us by using who? They ancestors.
Psychological spell.
By using what though? They ancestors. And you look, you even got certain rappers that is actually getting the presidents, the Blueface. He actually got the president tatted on his skin.
Wow.
Representing that dollar bill. So the things that we're doing up under this spell and up under this curse just shows you that ancestral work is very important. So everybody in the world is worshiping their ancestors, praying to their ancestors, doing ancestral works. But we are the only people on planet Earth to be taught that talking to your ancestors, honoring your ancestors, and praising your ancestors is wicked, or it's a sin, or you're transgressing the true God and all of this other nonsense, when that is not the truth at all.
Wow, that's very deep.
Deep, man.
And you was talking about the stretching, and I want to ask this question. Bodybuilders, we know that bodybuilding, it looks good, it's promoted by the general media, get your body, in shape. But we know truly bodybuilding, it isn't healthy. And I want you to elaborate on that. What's bad about bodybuilding? For people, the guys and goddesses that want to build a lot of muscle and just pack on a lot of muscle, why is it unhealthy to have a lot of muscle?
The first thing is you're building up a lot of lactic acid when you're doing all of that rigorous working out. Calisthenics is a good workout. You're using your own body weight, and you're doing things that's going to keep stretching the body, and you're going to keep, building natural muscle. When you get into bodybuilding and weightlifting, for one, you're building a lot of lactic acid, which is going to burn you. It's very acidic. For two, you're lifting weights and you're packing on a lot of muscles. And by doing that, you need a lot of protein. We know that protein is very, very bad for the black community. We don't need protein. We need something called simple amino acid structures. On top of that, this mass is very, very heavy. So technically, bodybuilders are 3 times overweight.
Wow.
You see that? And that's why you see bodybuilders having heart attacks. And then they feel that they can eat anything they want and just stay in the gym all day, which is going to take your total life from you to build this body. And then the moment, and this is how you know that this stuff is built off of false analysis, because the moment that they stop working out, all of that muscle turn into what? Fat. Right? They get fat and flabby.
And most bodybuilders are people who have a lot of muscle. They look good, right? But their energy, their psyche, their mind, it doesn't really seem attractive. They have no vitality around them. They have nothing special going on with their mind.
Because it's a spirit in that. It's a spirit in working out. You're dealing with low thought form frequencies when you're dealing with that. Notice you're in the mirror all day. You flexing all day. Like that's a whole spirit. You literally in the seat of ego at this point. But you have to compensate. Remember, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So when you get older, and the moment that you lose that spirit, your body be destroyed and your kidneys are destroyed from it. There's so many bodybuilders that's coming to us now with heart disease and kidney failure because these high keto or these high protein diets, which is killing the kidneys and killing the liver, or they have cardiovascular disease and issues because they're messing up the heart because they're packing all these tissues and all these pounds on. Plus, they living in an acidic lifestyle because they're building up so much lactic acid. Now, the question is, you got to ask, how did the gorilla get all of those muscles, and why is the gorilla the strongest, mammal technically in the jungles, and it don't eat no high protein diets, it don't eat no meat or none of that. These things are literally, and I'm not talking about your hybrid gorillas who they force to the top of the mountains. I'm talking about your low plane gorillas. When you study them, they're naturally frugivores. They might eat bamboo shoots and a little bit of grass here and there. But if you study their diets is 96% fruits. Where did they get all of their muscle from? That's the question that these bodybuilders need to be asking.
Wow. Yeah, a lot of bodybuilders, a lot of people who want to build on muscle, the first thing they think is like, oh man, I can't go vegan, I can't go alkaline, I can't go plant-based, you're not getting enough protein. And it's just like the psychological misconception of why they don't understand going vegan. You can still gain muscle. You got the nuts. What are some foods that can gain you that muscle?
Like you said, you do have the amino acid nut kingdom. Be careful with the nuts though, because these are phytic acid. So you got to make sure that you sprout these nuts. That way you won't eat all the phytic and nitric acid that's in them. You also got avocados, which is fatty acids that'll help you build up that muscle. Man, you got so many things. You got your sprouts, you got your legume family, you got your quinoa, which is the seeds, and most of these things I'm talking about is a fruit. The reproductive system of a plant is a fruit. When you talk about beans, that's the reproductive system of a plant. It's called a plant embryo, So that's the reproductive, that's a fruit. When you talk about legumes, or you talk about, chickpeas, which is a legume, or you talk about quinoa, which is a legume. You talk about lentils, which is a legume. These are the seeded part of the plant. That's a fruit. So anything that when you talk about avocado that builds up fatty acids, or coconut flesh, which has high yields of arginine in it, which builds up fatty acids, all these things are talking about fruits. So fruits build muscle. We just haven't been educated on how to do it properly. And that's the reason why we need to build our own health, financial, and history institutes, or her story institutes, where we can really bring the proper education to our children and to our people, where we can be like put on a direct path to greatness and liberation. Man.
So let's go on to another level, you know, past alkaline food, past veganism. Let's talk about breathatarianism. All right. This is a very, very high level thing to do. Most people, they can't even operate on a breathatarian level because it's very high level to do. And we hear a lot about it and how powerful it is to like heal your body from the inside and out. Would you ever consider going breathatarian?
Yeah, of course, man. That's what I'm working towards, for real. And don't get me wrong. I dibble and dabble and play in creation. So every now and then I do eat cooked foods. There's no such thing as cooked alkaline foods. I don't eat meat. I don't eat dairy. I'm 100% strictly plant-based. But sometimes I do cook my food, not often. So, but you have many different levels to, you know, this food pyramid. The first level is called the animal kingdom. That's your very lowest level. You know, that only yields 3 angstroms of energy, 3 to 4 angstroms of energy when you eat them. These things are very acidic. Not only that, you have something called heterocyclic amines from cooking food, heterocyclic amines from cooking meat, to be exact. And these heterocyclic amines are very mutagenic, meaning they cause cellular mutation and causes cancer. You have another one called polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, and it's just from smelling the cooked meat. Literally causes brain cancer and all types of things. That's why if you look at people that stay around like certain type of Chinese food shops, the Chinamans, and stay around restaurants, they get nasal cancer quick and they get throat cancer quick because they are smelling that polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons. Or people that eat these grilled foods that's cooked at high temperatures, they're literally eating, you know, the heterocyclic amines, and these phosphate groups, or what we call these complex amino acids, and these different acidic ashes that is leaving behind on the food is burning our bodies and changing and mutating our cells. And like I just said, it only yields about 3 to 4 angstroms of energy. So you're not even getting real energy off these things. So that's the lowest. That's the animal kingdom, cooking animals and dairy products. Your next one up will be actually your beans and your seeds. That's your next one up. That's going to yield about 5 to 6 angstroms of energy. But you're dealing with phytic acid and you're dealing with nitric acid. And these are complex amino acid structures, meaning it's very hard for the hydrochloric acid to break down inside of your body. And we see that a lot of kidney issues from the damage of the nephrons in the kidneys are messed up from eating all of these different seeds, nuts, and beans. The next level up. So first we got animals, then we got seeds. Up from there, we got the vegetable kingdom. Now the vegetable kingdom, don't get me wrong, is a very good kingdom to be in, but these are for your herbivores, not your frugivores. If we look at our physiological aspects and our manifestation of our body parts, because mind created body, we were made to eat fruits, not vegetables. Herbivores are 2 tons. Most of them got 2 to 3 stomachs, but they can keep regurgitating and breaking down all of their cellulose. This yields you 9 angstroms of energy. You see what I'm saying? So now you got animals, right? Then you got your beans and you got your nuts. Now we just moved on to your vegetables for your herbivores. After that, you got the fruitarian or frugivore. This actually yields you 12 angstroms of energy and it's high in vitality. Once you get to that, only thing you got next is what? H3O2 water, fruit juices and water, right? Which actually yields you 13 to 14 angstroms of energy. From there, you got next up is just breathing. So we are going through the evolutionary process and we climbing this chart. We own the meat. Now we got off the meat. We got off the dairy products. We was high off the beans. Now we learning new knowledge and we getting off the beans and the legumes and the seeds. Now we own all the vegetables and we realize that the vegetables is hard to break down. And that's the reason why they created juicers to get rid of the cellulose, because it's hard for our body to break down that mucilages and the cellulose. So now we move to the fruitarian and we seeing the beautiful benefits, but we still got to go higher because the moment we stop growing, we die. So now it's time to move to the water and the H3O2. And then from there, Breatharianism.
That's high. That's very high.
That's super high, man. Look, I think I'm not gonna lie. I think it's so high that once you really tap and dial into that breath like that, and you spread your diaphragmatic muscles to spread your wings, and you can breathe and really breathe in and really fill your lungs with air, the whole capacity, I don't think there's gonna be a need to even have these bodies no more. So you might end up beyond the 5D, in a different dimension somewhere.
Yeah, we're gonna go to the 5th dimension then there. Yeah, it's gonna be for real, you know what I'm saying?
But before we keep going, I do think we should practice at least 3 days out of the month where they don't eat nothing. They don't drink nothing or eat nothing, and they just practice and focus on mindful, conscious, diaphragmatic breathing. If you're interested in any of my healing modalities and you need botanicals and healing herbs, alkaline and healing herbs, actually wildcrafted from the land of their origin, make sure you visit my website at www.yahkiawaken.com, www.yahkiawakened.
So I see you're wearing white right now, and I love the outfit, you know what I'm saying? Where did you get the outfit from?
So I got my own clothing line. If anybody can see it, I got Yahki Awaken on here. The clothing line is actually called Zulu Kingdom Clothing, which I'm coming out with these all garments. I stopped wearing all these people clothes because I'm done spending money with these people and not in my community. I spent hundreds of thousands on Gucci, on all of this stuff. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just trying to get into my own culture. Clothes mean everything. Threads and fabric mean everything. We're electrical beings, and most of their clothes got mixed fabric, and it straight stops the circulation and it stops the conveying of melanin neurotransmitter or electricity from emitting from the body and coming into the body. It's certain clothes that stops the ultraviolet rays from hitting your skin and converting the LDL and HDL cholesterol over into vitamin D3 and tyrosine to convert, and tryptophan to convert into melanin, or what we call carbon. So, wearing these clothes allows the sun to truly feed my skin. It allows me to give energy out to everybody, and it allows my skin to breathe, because my skin is an absorption factor. Not only that, it's an escalatory system too. That's why I sweat. So it's hard to do that when you blocking the skin. So, man, shouts out to Navia, shouts out to Yashur. They make all of my clothing and everything for me, and my clothing will be for sale probably in September or something like that.
So why did you choose white? Because I know the power of white. I want to see, why did you choose white to wear in this interview? What is your favorite benefit of wearing white? So
me, I'm a Natsar, El Natsar, what they call a Seen Nazarene. That's my path that I walk. I believe in the God body. I believe in the 12 principles of knowledge of self. And according to that spiritual law system, or that universal law, white represents purity. Not in the Caucasian white sense on how they came in, because blackness is powerful too. Because black is the darkness. That's the night sky. When you look at that melanin is where all light and white come from. Everything come from black. So before I even talk about this, all colors come from black. But white just really represents purity, represents cleanliness, and it represents the gateway of the portals into new dimensions. So, this is my purification garment. And the Nazarenes, or the El Nassar, they wore all white all the time, and they took up to 5 to 7 ritualistic bathing baths every single day, because they knew that they needed to keep and they ate nothing but fruits, because they was fruitarians, and they knew that they needed to keep their vessel, and they took herbs too. And this is the tribe that they say Jesus was from, who was really Yeshua. They all they did was ate fruits, they bathed, they meditated, and they purged themselves with herbs all day, because they needed to keep their vessel clean, because they was trying to transmute their physical aspects into angles of light. They were literally trying to become the ancestors, and they knew that the only way that the ancestors would come and rest upon them, or rest in them, or what they call the Ruach HaKodesh, which is the Holy Spirit, to truly rest and take seat inside of them, for they can operate inside this 3D realm, is by keeping a pure vessel and wearing pure clothes and walking uprighteously and having a righteous, pure mindset.
So I gotta say this, Yahki, your dreads, they busting, you know what I'm saying? They really on point, they clean. How does someone, there's a lot of people growing out their locks right now. How do you keep your locks at the most optimum health right now?
Best way, for real, don't do nothing to them. Wash them every 4 to 6 months if you free form, and if you free locking. If you getting them fancy locks,
don't wash them too much.
Yeah, wash them, but don't wash them too much, because you got to build up the energy. Remember, and like I was talking about yesterday when we was on our psychedelic experience, my locks felt so heavy, and I was feeling all the traumatic experience and all of the different levels of my journey in my locks. Like, I literally wanted to get rid of my hair, but I knew I was on my psychedelic, so I knew if I cut them right then, I'd be crying once I woke up in the morning.
Yeah, that's part of you. Your locks are part of you.
It's part of me,
like
but it reminds me of my iniquities. It reminds me of my violation against nature, you know, because all of them traumatic experience is locked into my hair, showing you how powerful your hair is. Your hair is an extension of your nervous system. Not only that, it's connected to something called a Merkle disc inside the pores of your skin. And your Merkle disc is literally a sensory senses. It scans the environment and it depicts and decodes the environment and feed it back to you through protein in your skin. These melanin neurotransmitter then go to your brain and your autonomic nervous system and tells you how to interact and respond to your environment. So hair is very important. That's why when you read it in a biblical sense, you know, it talks about Samson and his 7 locks, and he drew strength from the sun through his locks, showing you that the sun is directly communicating with our hair. Hair is very, 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 you know, honored amongst a lot of culture, So it's very important. So how to keep it healthy? Literally, don't do nothing to it. If you feel any type of dehydration, put some oil in it. You know, rosemary oil is very, very good for the hair. Olive oil is very good for the hair. It's so many things you can do that's very good for the hair. So keep it hydrated. But the best way to keep it hydrated is by being in that water. Don't be touching it too much, and don't have everybody in your head, because your hair is spiritual, and people do transfer energy.
Back to your video you made at that one event. You was just talking about how, you know, your hair skins the whole environment.
It does. It's literally scans it. The Merkel's disc. You have so many. You have something called a thermoreceptor, the mechanoreceptor, the Merkel's disc. Like thermoreceptors is connected to the branch of your hair, the root. You have another one called a mechanical receptor. It's actually connected to the bottom of your hair follicle. You have another one called the Merkel's disc. It's connected to the capsulin. All of these are sensory receptors that's connected to your hair that scans the environment. Because we remember, we are only I'm looking at you right now through my eye senses. I've never really seen you. I felt you, but I've never seen you. You see that? The only way I'm seeing you is through my eyes decoding you by way of vibration and light code frequencies, mixing with H3O inside of my head. It's taking an upside down vision of the actual hair scanning you, and then I'm decoding you as E. Wow. E that owns the channel 5D Beyond. I've never really seen who you actually are, and you never really seen who I actually am. You see what I'm saying? We're just relying on our sensory senses to depict who we truly are. I never heard your real voice. This is my ears decoding a vibration. This decoding a vibration, I'm saying, okay, he just said, wow. I never tasted real food. Them are my taste buds, receptors on my tongue. And that's the reason why we have to create our own environment, because there's a people in control of our senses right now. That's why we love the fast cars. We love the Gucci. We love the Prada. We love the chicken. We love all of these different things that are bad for us, because we got a people that's promoting and creating our culture and creating our environment. And they're feeding our sensory receptors what they want to feed us to keep us acting as consumers, man. It's called sensory deprivation tanks. Look it up. We are in the biggest sensory deprivation tank ever. And it's the same thing with Neo in the Matrix. He woke up from the sensory deprivation tank. He unplugged himself from the Matrix, and he realized that he was a slave his whole life. And he looked out, and it was millions of people in them same tanks. And what was his whole mission? To unplug all of them from the Matrix. And that's my mission right now.
What's your take on Rashad Jamal getting locked up as of right now?
Man, look, peace and blessings to the guy, Rashad Jamal. I think it's another tactic of Satan. I think it's another tactic of the government. You know what I'm saying? And I think that they trying to bring all the mini messiahs down. You know, they be at me a lot too. So, you know, I just say send prayers and affirmations. Pray to the ancestors to get him up out of that deal. Stay strong while you up in there, brother. You know, and peace to the guys. But
I'll definitely be out. You know, we can see him out very soon. Yes.
Yeah, but me personally, I think that it's the government trying to take him down. You know what I'm saying? Now, as far as his baby mamas and stuff like that, I don't know the situation. I don't really know what happened, but I do know how they be on him, how they be on his channel. And he's out here spitting that true facts. I don't know what he do behind closed door, but for what he's doing to the public and what he's doing for the people is very, very negative, which really means positive. So he's doing very negative things for the people. And Ashe, all praises to the Most High for that. So that's what I see. I can't judge him off of a person I don't know or what somebody else said about him. I didn't see him do none of them things that they saying he did personally. So for me, I can't judge that. Only thing I see is him helping out the people, raising the consciousness in the black community. And for that, I'm going to say peace, God. Peace, beloved.
Peace, God.
I love you.
For sure. What's some of your tattoo meanings that you can share with us today?
Man, I hate these tattoos. I wish I never got them, but you know, it was for the tribe at the time. I was gang related, so a lot of them are gang tattoos, but a lot of them are spiritual as well. This is a 7 between. It looked like a scar now, but this is a 7 between my head with a 3-point crown. It represents 777. I have a very deep, knowledgeable Hebraic background. 7 is amazing. It actually represents the 7 branches of the menorah.
Most luckiest number as well.
Yes, and it means completion, like the 7th day, or what they call Shabbat. Actually, it represents Saturn as well. That's why you hear Shabbati in Hebrew. It means Saturn. So it represents Saturn, where a lot of chaotic energy come from. But I understand chaotic energy. You can take that and transform and mutate that into positive energy. It also represents the 7 chakras, or the 7 churches, or the 7 glands, or what we call the gland Yahweh in the body. You have 7 continents. You have 7 seas. I mean, 7 just means completion. It means devotion. It means perfection. So that's what it means. And then I got 3 7s, which represents the Christ consciousness.
What's the most important chakra that you feel like humanity right now needs to focus on? Because we know chakras is very important.
Bro, the heart chakra, man, we need to open up.
Chakra, okay.
We need to, you thought I was gonna say the third eye?
I thought you were going to say the root chakra.
No, I say the heart chakra, because, you know, love is the highest form of nutrition ever, scientifically proven. And I think love and unifying will actually heal all the ailments, the mental illness, and everything that's going on in the community. You know, us killing each other is for the lack of love of self and for the lack of love of each other. Us degrading the black woman in the black community is because of the lack of love of self and the lack of love of each other. Us eating these poor foods is because of the lack of love of self and the lack of love of each other. Us drinking tainted water, knowing that it's tainted, is because of the lack of love of self and the lack of love of each other. So I think we need to open up our heart space.
Yeah, even going to the heart chakra, a lot of people also have a blocked heart chakra because of so many like trust issues with relationships, cheated on, getting, you know, that blocks someone's heart chakra if they're not aware of what's taking place. How does someone deal with healing their trust issues from relationships or being hurt?
The first thing you could do, we have to realize that there's no such thing as the physical body that's separate from the spiritual body. So if you detox physically, you will automatically detox spiritually if you're in the right environment. So, you know, you can do things like the heart chakra permeates green. So go on a green fast, you know, do nothing but green juices. You can also get rose quartz crystal, you know, go to sleep with that rose quartz on your heart. Setting intentions is very, very pure too. When you're putting that rose quartz crystal on, you're going on these green fasts, imagine yourself, because mind creates matter. Without mind, it don't matter. Because mind is what creates matter. You see what I'm saying? Literally. Yeah. So if we have good intentions and pure intentions, and we create our own ritualistic ceremonies to free up the meridian pathways from the heart, to get that energy moving and move them obstructions and blockages, you will start finding yourself being able to trust and to love again. So I say, you know, work with a lot of green colors, because color therapy is real and it do exist.
And what about pink?
Pink is very good for love too, but pink is not feminine. Pink is a very, very masculine color.
Oh, really?
A lot of people don't know that. Pink is masculine. Pink is nothing but light red. Red is a masculine color. So pink is very, very, and that's why you see a lot of Africans wear pink, or they wear a lot of multicolored outfits, because they understand nature. See, nature will mix pink in with a red flower, with a violet flower, a purple flower, a green flower. So Africans come over here bringing their culture and wearing their colors, and we'll call them tacky or say they mismatch. No, they're matching. They just not matching what you have been taught. They matching nature. See, and pink is very, very masculine. It's a masculine color, and it opens up the heart chakra as well. And if you look at the rose quartz is actually pink.
Okay, what is the most feminine color, speaking of most feminine?
The most feminine color to me, that I will say that it is indigo and purple. And that represents the Keter and the third eye chakra. And when you get into the pineal gland is very, very feminine in aspect. It's actually that black dot that creates all things. And it's a part of your intuitive side and waking up your spiritual eye. Once you get into creativity, you get into spirituality, you get into the third eye, you get into visions, premonitions, profiting, you know, being a Nabeem and seeing the future, any of that creative space or that nurturing feeling, that is all the feminine aspect of nature. That's what you call the alkaline aspect of nature, the electron aspect of nature, not the protein, destructive, corrosive, acidic side of nature, which is the male principle. That's your left logic side. That's your logical side. You know what I'm saying? Whenever you start really seeing that male energy, you start seeing red, you know, and that's why you see the root in that sacral is red. And that's why they use that for sexual stimulation. You want to stimulate somebody sexually, put them in red. That's why McDonald's use red for they boxes and for they fries. That's why you see on Valentine's Day they use red for they color. You know, it's all to do with the sexual organs.
Speaking of red, you know, red is a very masculine color. It represents the root chakra. A lot of males right now, sometimes they will have too much masculine energy, too much chaos energy. How does a male balance out that chaos energy? How do they balance out all that masculine energy that builds up, especially when they go on semen retention?
Man, semen retention is amazing, but they do build up a lot of masculine energy. But you got to take that energy, or what you call the Christos, that holy anointed oil, and you got to raise that Kundalini, and you got to make sure it get executed at the 33 vertebrae, which is the reason why Christ died at 33 in the city of Golgotha, which means skull. You see that? Then he connected and illuminated the 12 cranial nerves, which is the 12 disciples. So, I mean, look, all religions represents the body, but the best way to truly transmute that energy is tapping into your alchemist bag. You know, become the alchemist, using and playing and working with your inner child. If you want to really raise that feminine aspect of who we are, working with your creative side, getting in nature, painting, man, that really brought out my feminine side and balanced me out. You know what I'm saying? Stretching, doing yoga, because a lot of males think yoga is feminine. I mean, they think it's like you're being so-called homosexual. No, that's literally, you know, since when stretching and doing he doing the splits. Boy, get your ass off. You doing a split. Females do that. No, this is stretching. I'm releasing blockages. You know, since when we males that have been in captivity for over 400 years, we look at anything that's healing and nurturing as feminine, like it's homosexual, when it's not. We need the feminine principle and the masculine principle to create ma'at, or what the Bible calls just weights and balances.
Yeah, they need that TLC energy to really take care of themselves, making sure they're stretching and journaling for their mental health.
What you just say, journaling is amazing. Journaling as well. And look, elemental alchemy, or what they call elemental magic, working with elements, is some of the most therapeutic feminine things that you can do. Working with the elements, getting out in the sun and doing your yoga in the sun, stretching and breathing, getting out, taking your shoes and your socks off, wiggling your toes in the soil or in the sand. You know what I'm saying? When that wind blows, stop and really like see how precious that moment is as the wind blowing. Just lean your head back and breathe in deeply, feeling these elements, working with fire, working with water, doing water rituals, doing candle baths. Ain't nothing wrong with a man doing a candle and crystal bath. Like, these things is what brings out your feminine aspect, but will also keep you balanced. So I'm all about tapping in the divine feminine, man.
Yes, and that's what a lot of the males need. We need that to really balance out when you have too much masculine energy, you get too mad, you get too
get chaotic, man.
It's really really chaotic, you know what I'm saying? It's not gonna really help your mental as well. So yeah, but that's all, we're gonna wrap it up for today, Yahki. It was a pleasure having you on this interview, really a pleasure for having you for this first video on our channel, and we definitely gonna have another one very, very soon. And yeah, you can even tell tell YouTube that we're going to be doing it monthly now. Yeah, so we doing this monthly, once a month. I'm going to be flying out here to Miami. We're going to be tapping in with Brother God E. And, it's beyond 5D, baby. So peace, love, light, and healing. Peace to the gods, peace to the earth. Open up your heart chakras and love yourself. Peace, beloveds. Peace. Make sure you hit the subscribe button below. Also, make sure you hit that bell.